On this video, we're going to focus on how to retrain your brain. What you're doing as a habit, your habitual habits and patterns make or break you. You get to train yourself to think positive. You get to train yourself to succeed or to fail or to be mediocre. But we're going to talk about how can we do that. First off, understand that our brains are a habit and pattern making machine. We're doing it all the time. We don't have to try to do it. We're making habits and patterns of what we're doing automatically. It's just the way we're built. If we do something long enough, if we hear it long enough, we start believing it, it starts becoming a habit and pattern of how we think and what we do and what we say, but they're habits and patterns. So understand this is happening all the time. Also understand that your brain is very flexible. It's called neuroplasticity, if I can say that correctly. But that just means it's flexible. It can shape, it can change, and it is changing all the time. But understand that you get to decide how you get to change it. But let's back up for a minute. I want you to really roll this around in your mind for a moment. If you had to relearn how to drive all the time and you didn't have a subconscious, see, God made us with one, so we don't have to learn certain things over and over and over. It just starts happening. Like you get in a vehicle, you know where to put the key, you turn it, you check your mirrors, you drive, you're driving down the road, you're doing all the things that when you first started driving, you didn't have the habits and patterns of driving very well. I'm sure you didn't. No one did. You have to learn that. Same thing with riding a bicycle. But once you get it programmed into you, you don't have to think about it anymore. Maybe you haven't rode a bike for many, many years, and you get on a bike and you can ride that bike again. It's amazing why we're built like this. But what we're actually doing is our brain is making connections. We're making pathways. Neural pathways is what science calls it. But as you think a certain way for a long period of time, you start forming like thought patterns from one part of your brain to another. You start playing that same tape or that same recording over and over and over. But understand again, our brains can be rewired. So understand whatever has happened already, you get to change because you get to change those pathways of thinking, speaking, and acting. But our subconscious mind is so important because if you just had to consciously think about every single thing in your life, you'd run out of energy. We're not made that way. But what you do have to do is decide to train your brain or retrain it. Because many times the things around us are training us in a negative way or what we have heard or learned as we grow up. So we have what I call a default setting. It's kind of like a printer that you may have many printers around you that you could say, my computer, I want to print on this printer. It's your default setting. Well, you have a default setting in your brain. Are you looking for the good? Are you always going to succeed no matter what? Are you going to figure a way? Or are you always struggling? So you have a default. You have to understand that's how it works. But consciously, we have to make the decision to program ourselves on a subconscious basis. So with that, let's get into how do we do that. One of the very first things is decide to think positive. When something doesn't work out, look at it like, what can I learn from this? And we have trainings on this, how you can really look for the good in anything. But practice positive thinking. Replace those negative thoughts with positive ones. Understand also its repetition and consistency. We don't retrain our brain by reading something one time and then we have it. Even if you have a great brain, and I have a very good brain that can retain a lot of information, and praise God, I didn't deserve it, I didn't earn it, He just gave it to me, like He gave you a lot of gifts. Well, I used to think that made me smart. You know what? No, I could spit back information, but you know how you retrain your brain? You hear the same thing over and over and over, you practice it over and over and over, you get those neural pathways to connect, and then on automatic pilot, you start just acting the right way and doing the right things. But it takes repetition and consistency. You need to challenge any of the negative limiting beliefs. You want to retrain when someone tells you you can't do something? You know what? I have people tell me things like that all the time. Well, you know this is how it works. I'm like, no, for you that's how it works, not for me, or it doesn't have to even work that way for you. And sometimes I have clients that kind of look at me, they're like, no, my doctor told me this, or I read this, or I've experienced this. You just don't know. And I'm like, no, you just don't know. You believe that, so that's what you get. But if you challenge those limiting beliefs, you can change everything. But if you just take whatever you've been thinking for a long time as that is the truth, you're going to be stuck forever. You need to learn to challenge any sort of limiting or negative or fearful or doubtful beliefs. You need to learn, like, no, with God, what's possible? All things is what the Bible says. So you know what? I believe that. Now, I may not know how to apply and get all things right now, but with God, He can show me. Another way, this is so powerful to retrain your brain, is visualization and affirmation. Remember that repetition, that consistency, you need to do it over and over and over. Visualize. See yourself succeeding. Reprogram that. Make it real. Use your emotions. Use that incredible brain that God gave you. But you know how you do it? See it. And you know what? Visualization, I'm not going to go into how to visualize right now, but it's not the same as looking through our optical eye lenses. Visualize, you can feel it, you can say it, you can think it, you can meditate and dwell. That's all the form of visualization. The more you do it, it's like anything else, you become better at it. So visualize. You can also do affirmations like I mentioned a moment ago. Speak it over and over and over. You have the power of death and life in your tongue, in your words. The Bible talks about our words are like a rudder on a ship. It's going to control where that ship goes. They're like a bit in a horse's mouth. You have this big, powerful horse, but you pull the bit, its head goes that way, it starts going that way. You turn the rudder on the ship, it starts going that way. So you have to understand that you can affirm things, you can say things either to limit you or to help you succeed. Be very, very careful with your words. Pay attention to what's coming out of your mouth. It's a very powerful way to retrain your brain. As you keep saying the right things over and over and over, you're going to become successful. One of the most powerful ways to reprogram yourself that we've ever seen is affirmations. And in SuccessTek, do our personalized audio affirmations. You can have images and music behind it, but you get to customize them any way you want. Very easy to change these. We've had so many people just over and over tell us how it's changing their life by customized affirmations. What are they doing? They're reprogramming their thinking. They're reprogramming their belief. They're reprogramming their expectations. Like, you know how I say at the end of the videos, expect success? As you reprogram your brain at a core level by saying it, by seeing it, by all the things I'm talking to you about right now, it will help you become successful. Meditation, mindfulness. What does that mean? Sometimes people think you sit very quietly and go, and quiet your mind. Yeah, you can do that. And if you have practiced that and you're really good at it, I think awesome, great. But meditation also means just mull something over and over in your brain. Think it through from 1,000 different directions. Meditate on it. Think about it. And many times people meditate on bad things. That's called worry. They worry about things over and over and over and over. What are they doing? They're meditating on the wrong things. What are you going to do to be successful? You're going to say, I'm really good at worrying. Well, good. You're really great at meditating then. Just change that. Use what you're good at. Now meditate on what you want to change. Be really good at meditating, but make it on what you want in your life. You want to practice gratitude. And I know that if you've been on one of these trainings for a while, or listened to a lot of our trainings, I should say, on our channel for a while, you know we talk a lot about gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful emotion. You need to retrain your brain to where automatically you start becoming grateful. And on one of our trainings about gratefulness, it talks about, writing a list, thinking about that, focusing on it. Pretty soon, you're grateful for a lot of things, and you start growing your mindfulness or your gratefulness by being grateful. And you're like, now I'm really aware of the things. That's what mindfulness means, is to have your mind pay attention to what's going on. So you know what? Look at gratitude. Expose yourself to things where you can get better. Listen to great trainings. Go to seminars. Learn. If you want to be a great salesperson, listen to trainings on selling. You want to be really great at lifting weights? You know what? Listen to trainings on it. Then you have to get in the gym, of course. But you know what? You also can learn how to lift properly. And sometimes you go, wow, I've been doing that. And they say if I do it this way, it's going to have so much more benefit to my body, even on lifting or something like that. Then you go, maybe I need to adjust. Maybe you do. But expose yourself to growth trainings. Work on yourself. Another thing that you want to think about is taking small, consistent action. Just little bitty things add up to a lot. So if you want to become really good at something, you want to retrain your brain, just do little things over and over and over. Start with the small things. And maybe you do one affirmation. Maybe you visualize for 5 minutes. Maybe you start paying attention to the negativity. You have someone around you start holding you accountable if you're starting to speak negative. Whatever it is, little things. If you do something like, well, I only did that for a day, for a week, do it for 2 weeks. Pretty soon it's a month. Now it's a quarter. Now it's a year. Now it's a habit and pattern you're not going to get away from. So take small, consistent actions. Change your brain just a little bit. Maybe you read for 5 minutes a day. You listen to one training. But keep getting better. Learn how to embrace failure. Failure is a huge asset. Making mistakes is awesome because that's how we learn. But you know what? If your brain goes, every time I make a mistake, I feel bad because it didn't work the right way, do you know what? You're going to always be mediocre or failing, and you'll stop. You'll quit. Instead, be like the most successful people and embrace making mistakes and failure. Embrace it. And here's a great saying. Here I grow again. Every time you make a mistake, here I grow again. Not here I go again. No, here I grow again. What a great thing to think about. Here I grow. So when you make a mistake, something doesn't work out, you fail at something. Well, if you grow from it, did you really fail? Or did you learn a lesson so you can change and next time do better? The truth is, you learned if you're looking for that lesson. Another thing to retrain your brain is move. Use physical activities. Start jumping up and down, running around, getting your heart pumping. Do you know out of that, your brain will start looking for different solutions? If you're sitting around, you're all lethargic and you're like, oh, I'm so depressed. You're not going to be looking for the answers. So change your physiology, your physical body. Exercise more. Get up and move. Change. Do some jumping jacks. Do something physical. And then start looking for the good. But you know what? Your immune system goes up. Everything goes up when you get rid of that stress. You start releasing endorphins whenever you're exercising. A lot of great things happen and your brain actually functions better. So I know that I've given you lots of things to think about here. So don't try to do it all at once. There's too many things on this training to try to work on, but pick one. Go back, listen to it again and say, you know what, that's how I'm going to retrain my brain. I'm going to read 5 minutes every day, 2 pages a day. I'm going to do whatever it is, but pick something. Understand that if you don't pick something, you may just listen to any information like ours or anywhere else, and if you don't do something with it, it doesn't benefit you. And one of the things that I'm so aware of is to try to encourage and motivate people to do something. because if it's just information and you don't put it into practice, it's not going to help you. So, as a recap, make sure that you retrain your brain. Don't listen to the negative news. Don't listen to the doubtful people. Don't listen to people that tell you how it cannot be done, why it's failing. Talk to people. Learn, listen, grow. How can I make this happen? Retrain your brain to succeed, and you will succeed. So with that, I hope you've enjoyed it, and more importantly, I hope you put it into practice. So as always, remember to expect success. Thanks.